of Punch Sports Extra. My name is Shegun Odwan. It's another time for us to talk about sports and happenings in that realm this Monday. It's the 1st of September. May it be a September to remember in a positive manner for us all. And I have Abiodun Adewale here with me. A very good afternoon to you, Abiodun.
Good afternoon, Shegun. Of course, to you as well. Thank you for joining us on another show.
We'll be beginning very quickly with the front page of Punch Sports Extra, the print version. And, you know, like we always do every Monday morning. And we have faces of our Super Eagles players there, a couple of them this morning. Abiodun, here we go. Not Fabrizio's version, our own version this morning.
And the biggest one is with Lukman.
Yes, Ademola Lukman, without a doubt. Still in limbo. Where is he going to be at the end of the day?
Just as we spoke about him this morning, the worst case scenario is that he would remain at Atalanta, will probably not play until January, maybe before another transfer occurs, or eventually is finally integrated back into the first team for him to play again. But for now, he continues to train alone. And from all here we go that we've heard today, nobody has taken a step for Ademola Lukman. As at yesterday, he only had a loan move from Bayern Munich rejected by Atalanta, insisting on what they want. Only a permanent transfer. No obligation to say we want to buy. Yeah. No, we are giving you a guarantee that I want to buy. Buy outrightly and let's do business and let's end of discussion. That is what Atalanta have insisted on. But it's just a pity in all of this. It's a transfer that we've seen happening all along summer. But all of a sudden, it looked like mission impossible. And at the moment, it's putting the career of the player on the line, while the club are just going about their business like it's nobody's business.
Still on the front page of Punch Sports Extra this morning is Nicholas Jackson. The man was on the plane to Germany, landed successfully in Munich, took pictures with his agents and said goodbye. And then there was an unfortunate incident that had to lead to his recall. Chelsea striker Delap got injured and Chelsea felt, wow, why are we allowing one goal when we can keep him here because our man is injured? Guess what Diomansy Kamara, one of the agents of the Senegalese man, said? He said when a plane has gone, he can't come back. Guess what, my people? They've successfully gone back because Chelsea said no to the deal and Bayern said, unfortunately, bro, we can't sign you because your club says no. That was some drama this weekend. I mean, especially with Diomansy Kamara, the former Fulham striker, now an agent saying, you know, giving us African proverb, like say concern with Bowman.
You know, some of these things that they defy logic. Sometimes you want to put in sentiment, sometimes you want to put in emotions and all of that. But this is business. They've paid some millions of pounds for Delap. He got injured. Jackson was surplus to requirements. They needed to let him go. But at some point in Chelsea's history too, especially in the last 1-2 seasons, this is the same Nicholas Jackson that has amassed the highest number of goals, say, after...
Scored more goals for Chelsea in his first season than Drogba.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was surplus to requirement. He just has to let him go. But an injury to Liam Delap made them see the reason why they had to call him back. But from what I understand, they are still looking at the possibility of signing another striker, if at all the loan move to Bayern Munich will still be sanctioned. But for now, please return to is it Cobham? Is that where they train?
Cobham's,
return
Chelsea's training.
Return to and of course, let's just continue until maybe they find someone before the transfer deadline. Maybe his move might just be sanctioned.
All right, talking about the transfer deadline, there's a story on the front page of Punch Sports this morning that, well, as at some minutes ago, is now expired because the front page story says Emiliano Martinez, popular known as Dibu, the Aston Villa goalkeeper, was in agreement with Manchester United. Well, I can confirm to you now that the man Aston Villa was thinking of buying in place of Martinez is now the one that has been signed by Manchester United, Stemens. And guess what? It looks like Dibu too. We're going back to that same place he was coming from. Remember Peter Osazio Dewingi, 2012, where our man drove. I mean, even did interviews, but, you know, man proposes. I mean, how the jam right in that time. So Dibu looks like he's off to United, but the deal didn't materialize. and it looks like he's going back to Aston Villa now.
Yeah, it's the cycle of the window for me because the same Antwerp goalkeeper that is ending up at United now, both Villa and United have had eyes on him.
Yeah.
And at some point, so Villa were looking at the Antwerp goalkeeper as a potential replacement for Emiliano Martinez. But at the moment, it won't go in that cycle as they have probably thought about it. So for Martinez, I only wonder if he will keep his place. I saw Aston Villa's game against Crystal Palace last night. From goalkeeping errors to poor piece display on the pitch, Watkins not being clinical enough and all of that. They've had all sorts of problems. So maybe you just have to go back and become a solution to one of the problems that they've been facing this campaign.
All right, this coming weekend, it's the week for the Super Eagles and other national teams to do battle. So I guess that is why we had the corner of the Super Eagles guys that were in action this past weekend. And guess what? Nwabali did what he knew how to do best, which is save a penalty kick. They were on the losing side, but he was winning individually because he did his own job. He saved the penalty. For Simon Moses, or Moses Simon, he scored the winner for his club, Paris FC. And guess what? Frank the Tank Onyeka was equally dropping an assist, the second in back-to-back games for Brentford, even though he hasn't exactly been starting the Premier League so far. Quick one in 1, 2, 3 minutes. Let's talk about our guys. Of course, there was ever scoring Victor Osimhen. Can't stop scoring. His boots are always laced with golden goals. And I got another one in their 3-1 victory. Some of our guys are not playing, though. The likes of Ademola Lookman, not playing. Tolu Arokodare, of course, because he wants to move as well. Uche Crisantus also trying to
Samuel
get
Chukwueze.
Samuel Chukwueze is in London as we speak, trying to pin his 25 million euros deal with Fulham. So, you know, it's a mix. Good guys that are playing and are informed, and the other guys who are just up in the air.
You know, let's begin from the 3 guys that are currently in England to make their moves. From there, it means that they will be reporting to camp late for the World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and South Africa. That aside too. Stanley Nwabali, just last year in the midweek, he was stretchered off in Chippa United's game. But
we thought he was injured.
Good news, you're shaking it off. Went back into action yesterday, saved the penalty, although they considered 3 goals, but he made 5 out of 8 saves, meaning that it was just the 3 balls that he failed to get his hands on that entered into the net. So good for him. It still looks like the Nwabali that we know. Trust, you know, for him to, for stories about his injuries to have gone viral and everybody begins to panic.
Of course.
Yeah, it shows you how important.
I don't think we have a replacement
to the Super Eagles. It doesn't even matter that his team, Chippa United, are bottom of the PSL table. We know him to be that safe hand that we need. And why? Because even replacements are not, they are not adequate enough to even replace him if he steps out of the sticks. We have Adebayo Adeleye coming back. And we also have Amas Obasogie coming somewhere from Tanzania too. So, but then Nwabali is just the most reliable among all the goalkeepers that we have. Paul Onuachu also got a goal last night.
Course.
A very good goal at that. His second of the season.
He knows how to do it in that part of Europe.
Exactly. And Moses Simon assisted the equalizer for Paris FC and grabbed the winning goal too. That's the kind of player they went for when they grabbed him from FC Nantes. And he's proving to be very important for them. I'm kind of glad that some of them are bringing this form straight into the international break. So at least maybe one player in every position that we know is already in top form, and they are gradually. The season has just started. The highest number of games that most of them have played in leagues is just 3. So it's good that some of them are already in the shape that we want them to be. You psychologically, you will only be concerned about players like Ademola Lookman. As a matter of fact, if psychology is the reason Victor Boniface didn't make it, it would have been a bigger blow through if Ademola Lookman didn't make it because of that kind of psychology. He hasn't played a game this season
at all.
So we just need everybody to be at their best coming into the international break. And let's just hope maybe when players like Chukwueze finally get their dues done too, that's a way of psyching them up mentally too. Crisantos, which everybody wants to see what is we saw him in London during the Unity Cup, a cameo appearance, so to say. But the real deal is here. And a ticket to the 2026 World Cup is at stake. Drop a point in the next game. Don't just come for the rest of the qualifiers.
Please, let's go back home. All right, moving on. This is Biodun's favorite sport to write about, I guess. Cricket, where Nigeria is going to be playing against Namibia after the game against Sierra Leone. You've been following this team for a very long time now. I don't know, but I know you wrote that story, even though I have not checked, but I'm very sure you wrote it.
Yeah.
So tell us about your team.
Today, by 2:30 p.m., we are up against Namibia in the second game of the second group game of the 2026 Women's T20 World Cup qualifier. 8 teams are participating, and good for us. We got a very good start yesterday, a 96-run win over Sierra Leone. A perfect way to start. So let's just grind results. Namibia are the host, one of the toughest teams in Africa too. When it comes to seeding in this tournament too, they are seeded above Nigeria as well. But we've beaten them before at the African Games to winning our first ever medal on the continent, and we can do it again. In the men's game too, we've done it before. So it's high stakes, but then there is still Zimbabwe there. The most important thing now is getting out of this group.
The biggest team in Africa.
In Africa. So after South Africa.
After South Africa,
so
of course.
The best thing for us is we have a win already. Let's grind it out against Zimbabwe and Namibia. Get out of that group into the semi-finals. Once we make the semi-finals,
anything is possible.
Anything is possible from there. And the top 2 teams from these qualifiers are going to the global qualifiers later this year, ahead of the World Cup in England next year.
So there you have it, cricket fans. Very quickly, we're moving away from the front page of Point Sports Extra. Hey, that's not all. If you need more from Point Sports Extra, the print edition, grab your copy from your vendor. Have a great read and have a great week. Moving on now, let's talk about what went down this weekend. What a weekend. A weekend of losses to master and protege. Yes, I'm talking about Pep Guardiola and the man he trained at Arsenal over there. I'm talking about Mikel Arteta. They've actually not won a game at Anfield since the playing days of their manager. I'm talking about Arsenal, and it didn't really change this weekend. A man who has been playing out of position in the last couple of games, and the captain of Hungary, the man with the long hair, took a shot from outside of the box, a free kick, dead ball situation that went straight into the hearts of Arsenal fans, because they are the kind of sad game watch that they don't pray for anytime soon again. And they said, if you are going to lose a game, please lose it to a very quality goal like that off the boots of Dominic Szoboszlai. We'll be starting with what went down yesterday with City, perhaps the biggest loss of the weekend. And investors are probably still in pains, you know, against Brighton.
Yeah, for investors, I'm very sure they braced for that impact. So. But then, I didn't see it coming, especially for the fact that City scored first in that game.
Yeah.
I probably did not consider
88 goals for Erling Haaland in 100 games.
Already.
That's crazy.
But something is not ticking with Man City yet. It's back-to-back defeats in the Premier League. You know, they say Pep overthinks, he does this, he does that, and all of that. But then, you look at the quality of player that he has. City have players on the bench that are good enough to start games for...
For the likes of Wolves.
Not for the likes of Wolves. Even for other top teams in the Premier League. You know, if you want to do City 11 this week, another City 11 next week, he has that luxury. But something is not ticking yet, especially in the middle of the pack. Tijani Regindas, he did season 1, episode 1.
And then Jakaris.
On the first day of the season, but then they said his season film has been cancelled. But jokes aside, I think it's an integration problem within Man City. Haaland is still there, doing what we know him to do. At least he got a goal. Maybe he could have got more yesterday too. It could have been one of those things. But they are not playing the way they are supposed to. And for a team that did so poorly last season, you know, we expected that this season
they come back hot.
They come back hot with all the signings and all of that. But something is not just.
Somebody is angry. Mr. Ballon d'Or is very angry, and he's saying he's not Messi, he can't do it alone, and he's calling his lads to come up and fight.
Someone in Nigeria said he will still vomit that Ballon d'Or.
Rodri, the Spanish man, is the one that said, hey guys, I can't do it alone, I'm not Messi. And I was wondering,
you're the best player in the world.
Who is this bros now?
You should do it. But then, he's just coming back from an ACL, a long injury. For him to be slotted back into that team straight shows how mentally ready he is, and physically too, how ready he is to fight for the team. But like you said, yes, he won't be able to do everything. He won't do all the cleanings. He won't push all the attacks for you as well. So I think let's just read in between the line of the statement too. Everybody just have to
do their job.
Everybody just have to do their job.
All right. Former goalkeeper, legend of Manchester United, Schmeichel, was angry at the performance of Arsenal. He said 2 teams were on the pitch, but only 1 team came to play. He said Arsenal were very defensive, looking at what they did in the middle of the park by starting Mikel Merino with Declan Rice in the middle of the park against Liverpool, beg your pardon, showed that they only went there for defensive duties. And at the end of the day, that the better team lost. Do you agree, Bjorn?
Yes, I do. I do. I really do agree because just when I saw the starting lineup yesterday, one thing I started seeing from Arsenal fans was that it was a conservative formation. And I understood too, they wanted to win the balls. Maybe, if not win the balls at first, win second balls. I guess that was their game plan yesterday because if you are playing against a Liverpool team, on paper you will see 2 men in midfield, Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister, but then you have other guys dropping deep, other guys pushing numbers forward. So sometimes you have 5 players doing some blockings in there and pushing the attack in there. So I understand why Mikel Arteta will want to be conservative. But if you have materials, like we always say, if you have players that can push your team too, and maybe when you see the games playing, and perhaps Saliba's injury might not have done him a lot of good. So maybe if he had observed the game for about 20-30 minutes, he might be forced to ring a change. But then losing a player 5 minutes into a game like that is not something you want to plan.
Of course, it's not.
You definitely have to be very, very. You don't have to spend use all your substitutions just the way you see. You just have to be very economical with your substitutions at that point. So they were very conservative for me, and for Liverpool too. Nothing so spectacular, but then a game like that, it takes something special,
of course,
to win it, and that was how Dominic Szoboszlai just turned up and just showed us. They said he scored one of the best free kicks of his career, but he told the reporter
they should go for his throwbacks.
Go and look at the free kicks they scored against Turkey.
Yeah. and they brought that back, and that was fantastic. Yeah. But if you've not watched that yesterday's goal on slow motion, slow mode, please do. It's the 10th wonder of the world.
At some point I thought David Raya was slow in his reaction to moving to that ball, but then at a closer look from different angles, he had no chance.
There was nothing
he had no chance with that ball.
Moving on very quickly, Chelsea, the world champions, the Blues, defeated Fulham 2-0, but that was only the headline. Yeah. The controversy was that there was a goal scored by Fulham even before Chelsea scored any of their first goals. And eventually the VAR apologized and said, PGMOL apologized and said, hey, we made a mistake. In fact, the man that was supposed to be in charge was removed. The man that was supposed to be in charge of the Liverpool Arsenal game yesterday was that man that was in charge of the VAR in the Chelsea versus Fulham game on Saturday. But he was removed and he was replaced with John Brooks yesterday, and John Brooks did a fantastic job. They say we bring technology to avoid errors, but it looks like the more we bring technology, the more errors we find in football.
Because we still need the human brain to interpret some of these things. So it is still human errors enhancing or human errors defaulting technological advancements in football and all of that. So the English Premier League will always have all these controversies. I'm even glad they've brought the semi-automated offside rule thing to the EPL as well. It will help change a lot of things, especially, most goals last season, especially goals that maybe you contemplated offside or not, they were checked with VAR.
Yes.
And it was always down to whatever the referee would say. But then with semi-automated, nobody will say here and there, and it's whatever we see, we go with. So it's technology for technology, not technology for humans. So we'll always see those controversies, but then my people will always say, if it's in the local parlance, if we are seeing it around here, if it's our referees at home that are doing such, we don't get to hear so much noise. But you have to give it to them in the English Premier League too. Once they review and they do all these things, they admit it happened so much last season that it affected almost every team that were challenging for the title. So at one point or the other in the season, you will have one decision that might have affected
or against you,
that might have affected or boosted the chances of winning the Premier League. So we hope it doesn't. We hope it doesn't occur. It's 50-50 as long as it is humans that will be sitting there and be interpreting some of these results.
Moving on very, very quickly, Manchester United got their first 3 points of the season thanks to a 9-minute penalty scored by their super duper captain Bruno Fernandes. They played against Burnley. Nobody expected it to be that tight. It was 2-2 at the end of the day. But a pull on Ahmad from Jalel Anthony was what the referee needed to point to the box and step up. Captain Bruno Fernandes. After what happened the other day, I think this was him redeeming himself. And, of course, his manager jubilating for the first time in the league this season.
Well, I hope the Burnley player will be able to forgive himself. He threw that game.
Because he even scored the second goal.
Yeah, he threw that game away. And absolutely, there is nothing there. But let's focus on Manchester United. It's going to be a very tough season. You know, results have gone against them so this season that imagine if that game had ended.
Is it not just a new season? Just 3 games.
It's just 3 games. But
we have 35 matches to go.
But I've seen them in different scenarios this season. They lost their first game of the season against Arsenal. Their fans were consoling themselves with the fact that they played very well. That they played very well. Even Arsenal fans were saying they did not play. But I asked some of them too, even with your we did not play, are you happy with the 3 points that you got? Yes. Manchester United fans, you are happy you play the same way. You got how many points from the game? Nothing. Where does it put you in the table? Nowhere.
Bottom.
You go into your second game of the season, you come up against some group of boys from other parts of the country, they bamboozle you here and there, you drop points again, you're coming up against Burnley. You wanted to do all you want to do because in the midweek during the FA Cup, the whole world was on you when you lost
at Grimsby.
At Grimsby. So they needed to prove.
The name sounds like a nursery rhyme.
They needed to prove a point in that game. And imagine if it had ended 2-2. It would have been it would have been some kind of EODs as regards what they would have been able to achieve. And you begin to question a lot of things about United selection. And you brought Benjamin Sesko from his club for a certain amount of money. You told Holland he should use the back door to get out of the team and all of that. But then Sesko keeps sitting
on the bench,
game in, game out. This is a player that had some level of precision with you guys. So you don't tell me he's not ready to fit into your team. Then you bought a number of players for every position that you needed to. You just don't understand where the problem is.
Perhaps
from United.
Perhaps Ruben Amorim will give us answers.
And look at his numbers as a manager of Manchester United.
Very poor, pathetic, absolutely not good.
It is not just there. He was supposed to come with the brain of a genius, with the way he was, with the way the PR was and every other thing then.
But he's not living up to expectation at the moment. Talking about technology and talking about crisis, we'll switch over to Spain, where Barcelona had a very soft penalty given. If you ask me again on another day, I'll say that's actually not a penalty. But VAR was not working at the time. For the second day running in La Liga, on Saturday it happened where there was VAR malfunctioning and it was actually abandoned in the first half of that game. In the game between Barcelona and Real Vallecano, it happened again that for the first 40 minutes, VAR was not working. In fact, at some point, the sound system, the communication between the referee and his assistant was, oh my goodness, La Liga. Anyway, the game ended 1-0. Barcelona and Real Vallecano shared points. That game was actually one that Vallecano should have won. They had most of the opportunities. Barcelona were caught slipping too many times. Of course, the penalty was picked up and eventually scored by the young whiskey, Lamine Yamal. But I think they should have gotten more goals. Talking about Real Vallecano, they had all the opportunities in the world almost every time at various angles of the game. But they couldn't grab all 3 points. And I think that's a good one for Hansi Flick's side because, hey, as a big team, you should be winning games you're meant to draw and you should be drawing games you're meant to lose. Because if you don't do any of these two things, you may no longer be a big team. Yeah,
character and mentality. So I'm looking forward to what they will do against a team like Real Madrid. You know, in the last 3 games now, we've seen them grind results against Real Vallecano. We saw them do the same thing 2-3 weeks ago as well. So
came back from 2-0
so
now.
Let's just keep looking at that mentality. Let them come up against teams that can really rub shoulders with them. Like you said, Real Vallecano had chances they could have buried. Imagine if it was a team that was slicker, a team that was sharper and all of that. You could have imagined how many goals Barcelona would have considered in that game too. So for Barcelona's mentality and their character, let's see how well they carry it into matches that will really decide where the title is going to swing to. And I think I like the balance that we are starting with in the La Liga too. this one keeps winning. This one keeps winning. So let's just continue to move.
Talking about winning now, 30 seconds very quickly. Real Madrid won their game 2-1. Kylian Mbappe had almost a hat-trick of offside goals that was eventually scored. They say his pick-up pace is always too fast, and that he picks up too fast and eventually ends up offside. Vini Jr. was back in the lineup, got the winning goal. They won 2-1. It looks like it's a Real Madrid-Barcelona battle very early. But for Atletico Madrid, no, God knows, only God knows what's going on there. They are drawing, they are losing 3 games. It looks like they don't know what. I mean, did they have a preseason together? One begins to wonder. I mean, I know, I'm just saying.
And like bought an entire squad.
And, you know, it's not looking good for them over there at Atletico Madrid. We'll be moving away from Europe and European results from the weekend and tell you what is going on today. It's transfer deadline day, deadline by 7 p.m. Nigerian time. Of course, that's also British time at the moment. And you can imagine all the private jets are booked around the road right now. People are monitoring flights of many of their players that are coming in and going out. And it's red lights at airports at the moment. Major airports. I'm not talking about MM2 really. I'm talking about the big airports.
MM2
all over.
Airports.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well,
I mean, nobody's been signed.
We are not signing players.
And we are not selling anybody. But big moves around the world at the moment. Emiliano Martinez to United is off. But there's Sancho to Villa coming up at the moment. Isak, the biggest move yesterday night. Alexander Isak finally is having his way. He's moving to Liverpool.
Wissa is going to Newcastle.
Wissa, you and Wissa after writing his thesis. Yeah. I mean, now going to Newcastle. Moves everywhere, Bjorn, moves everywhere. Europe is busy.
Of course, and you know, every paperwork has to be completed at least before 7 p.m. And that is why we are seeing on the rush. One move that I'm still expecting, maybe Gianluigi Donnarumma to Manchester City already.
Fabrizio told us it was a here we go some 31 hours ago. Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing that being finally completed too, because City are in a crisis.
But they bought Trafford and then they're getting Donnarumma.
They bought Trafford. Trafford is not anywhere near the level of Ederson. I wonder why they had to let Ederson go. It seems like a use and dump case.
By the way, Ederson is going to Fenerbahce. That was also here we go.
And Fenerbahce also got Marcos Asensio. From a very tight move there. Yeah. Then we have moves coming from within the Premier League itself. A lot of moves seem to be happening, even within mid-table clubs to bottom-table clubs. And we have 3 Nigerians who could be making their Premier League switches to Samuel Chukwueze to Fulham, Tolu Arokodare to Wolverhampton Wanderers, and of course we have the other guy,
Chrysanthus Uche to Crystal Palace. And there's Mark Gay too, who's likely on his way to Liverpool as we speak for about £35 million. For Alexander Isak, it's a British record fee for more than £30 million. Quick one, Biodun, is Alexander Isak worth more than £30 million?
He's the biggest striker in England after Erling Haaland. You know, if you pay for Erling Haaland, you'll probably be paying more than that.
You pay 180, 200 for Erling Haaland.
So definitely, Isak is worth the price. You know, I would have doubted it, but then when I got to look at his statistics this morning, no. The goals are close to the
With his injury record. He doesn't stay fit for a season. Eddie Howe said at some point that they had to manage Alex for the big games. They knew when to use him. They knew when to switch him off. They knew when to take him out to rest and all of that. He's not going to a manager that doesn't know how to take care of him. And a slot uses his players to 80-85 minutes. Salah plays at 33, or how old is he now? Plays 90 minutes.
Salah's conditioning is different from every other player.
Who else? All these big boys, you must play 90 minutes over there at Liverpool.
Of course.
And then now you're going to be sharing time with TK, who is in form at the moment.
Good.
And then who becomes number 9? Does that battle? How do they solve it?
If Alexander Isak has a peculiar case, Slot and any other person in Liverpool would never be blind to it. And it's good that we have two A-list strikers. Maybe Ekitike is trying to become an A-list, but then if you have Isak, it means that if Isak is out, you have a very reliable backup who will be able to play. But then, why get a player for 130 million if he will miss up to 10 games in a season? The mathematics might not just balance there.
And he's missed 3 games already, so perhaps garbage in, garbage out, he may miss 7 more. Let's see what happens. It's going to be a very busy day as regards transfers. Like I said earlier, the planes are busy, everybody's moving in, trying to sign paperwork. But hey, we will not leave here without telling you about what is going down there at the US Open. In round 4 of the women's game is going to be former US champion Two of them actually, not just one of them.
Yeah.
Coco Gauff coming up against Japanese but American Naomi Osaka, and Naomi was jokingly saying that she hopes that the American crowd cheers for her, even though she's also American, but she uses a Japanese passports for reasons, you know, she just wants to use that. But it's going to be an interesting one. Quick one, Biodun. The big boys are still in it. Yannick Sinner, Carlos Calito, Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic, even though he got, I mean, a slight injury yesterday, but he massaged it and continued. The big boys are still going there out for the 5 million. The big girls are also still there. Arina Zabalenka, Coco Gauff. How many big girls do we even have? I mean, those are like the big girls at the moment. And there's Iga Swiatek, without a doubt.
Between Gauff and Naomi Osaka, I hope neither of them is going to cry at the end of the game.
Yeah, they love to. They cry a lot.
We've seen them before against each other.
Coco,
like
my baby.
Yeah, so we've seen them like that. But then Novak Djokovic, he keeps going.
At his age.
I wonder how long he will. He's just looking for that elusive title, just to establish
that one more.
And rubber stamp the name.
And he will probably go
as the player with the most Grand Slam titles.
All right, that is all we have for you on the show. Unfortunately, time is not our friend this morning, but hey, it's also the same in European transfer market at the moment. Time is not their friend. We do hope that at the end of the day, our own Ademola Lookman has his future solved, because it looks like Atalanta are saying you're going nowhere except you're sold. Looks like they don't want to play him again. For now, he's our biggest guy on that market that we are praying for. For other guys, we just hope all goes well for everybody. And football can continue again tomorrow. A very big thank you to Adewale Abiodun for being a part of this. The biggest thanks belongs to you, out there, viewers, because like I always say, we are here because you are there. My name is Sheldon, and I say have yourselves a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and a fantastic month. God bless you.